Hello everyone, my name is Laxmikant and I am providing you the first view of geography section of GS1 paper of this year's mains examination of UPSC. Now, you can see that the trend continues in terms of marks allocated for your geography section. This year also UPSC has given 100 marks weightage out of 250 in GS1 paper. 4 questions for 10 markers and 4 questions for 15 markers. If you see the difficulty levels of these questions, comparatively it was easier than last year. Very straightforward questions. Only 2 questions were having tricky word, that is demographic winter I would say, and the second one was twister. That was actually a twister. So let's try to understand through these questions briefly. The first question was related to sea surface temperature and how it leads to formation of tropical cyclones. Right. So it was continuously in news actually. Why? Because Arabian Sea and its sea surface temperature is increasing, and because of that, there is increasing, let's say, cyclonic activity in the North Indian Ocean region. So that's why students may have understood the idea, the context, and may have written the answer here. The second was, let's say, related to the large cities attracting more migrants as compared to smaller cities. So most of the students might have attempted this properly. Why? Because the larger cities have more opportunities for employment, education, and other aspects. Basically, the pull factors of migration are more in or stronger in the larger cities, and that's why more migrants are attracted there. So you can write these points, and most of the students might have got this correct. Yes, human geography part, we can say that. The third question was related to the cloud burst mechanism. So most of the students might have attempted it correct. Why? Because 2 years back, this question was same question was asked in the GS3 paper, disaster management, and that's why I tell students in the foundation batch and even in the MGP mains guidance program that you prepare GS1 geography part in sync with your GS3 disaster management part. So the natural hazards or geophysical phenomenon of geography, they are similar to your disaster management part. So they are asking these questions alternatively, these disasters or hazards alternatively in GS1 and GS3. The fourth question was related to demographic winter. ठीक है, तो डेमोग्राफिक विंटर का मतलब क्या है और ये टर्म न्यूज में भी था. इट इज रिलेटेड टू वी कैन से डिक्लाइन इन द बर्थ रेट. So that is called as, we can say that, overall decline in the birth rate all over the world. So that trend is observed recently and the world is moving towards that direction. Demographic winter usko bola gaya hai. So yes, you could have mentioned recent findings of the report and how it is having different implications for the overall world, let's say, population and the youth population. The elderly population is going to increase because of that. So ये सारी चीजें उसमें आपको लिखनी पड़ेगी, right? So these were the 10 markers. You can see that all these questions except the demographic winter term, अगर आपको सही से नहीं समझा है, आप तो उसको इसमें भी देख सकते हैं हिंदी में, वहां से भी आपको लॉजिक से क्लिक हो जाएगा. Then the 15 markers, groundwater potential of Gangetic Valley is declining and how it is having impact on the food security. You can see that the term food security is repeated. Last year also they asked the impact of climate change and how it is impacting the food security of the tropical countries. Right. So similarly, this year they asked Gangetic Valley. Yes, it is densely populated and it is the food basket of India. And if the groundwater is declining in that region, so of course what will happen is the water availability for irrigation and especially the food grains like rice cultivation, wheat cultivation will decline, and that will affect the food security of the country. ये सारी चीजें आपको डिटेल में बतानी है. Right. Second question, 15 marker, Aurora australis and Aurora borealis, how they are formed. ठीक है, तो yes, I was expecting this question. Why? In 2022 prelims they asked about this geomagnetic storms and let's say aurora formation. So we were expecting कि ये कभी ना कभी अभी मेंस एग्जामिनेशन में geomagnetic storms और उसके इफेक्ट पूछेंगे. And we have been asking this question in our mains test series. And this year they asked this, directly mentioning Aurora borealis and Aurora australis and how they are formed. They are formed because of strong geomagnetic storms. ठीक है, तो ये आपको डिटेल में एक्सप्लेन करना है. Then the real twister was basically the twister. Those students who know the meaning of twister, and it is basically the tornadoes or the strong, let's say, thunderstorms that are formed, especially in the regions, in the temperate region, we can say that, or especially in last 1 year, many tornadoes and thunderstorms were observed in the Gulf of Mexico region. There's the southern states of USA also, like Alabama is there, Texas is there, and some, let's say, areas of Mexico country. And because of that, it was in news, and that's why UPSC picked up that. ठीक है, और उन्होंने क्या किया है, टर्म चेंज कर दिया है, ट्विस्टर, एंड दैट्स वाई हर साल देखिए आप, पिछले साल उन्होंने पूर्वैया पूछा है, ठीक है, तो वो क्या पूछ रहे हैं, एक पर्टिकुलर टर्म पूछ रहे हैं जो ज्योग्राफी से रिलेटेड टर्म है, एंड दैट्स वाई आपको अगर वो टर्म पता है तो क्वेश्चन बहुत ही ईजी है। ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड दीज थिंग्स। तो आपको जोग्राफिकल फेनोमेनॉन के अलग अलग लोकल नेम्स है, रीजनल नेम्स है, तो ये ट्विस्टर्स भी रीजनल नेम की तरह उसको जाना जाता है वहां पर। तो यू कैन यूज दैट टर्म टोर्नाडो, यू नो अबाउट दिस, यू लर्न अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलर फेनोमेनॉन एंड you can write the answer. And the fourth question, 15 marker, is regional disparity, how it is different from the diversity, and let's say how it is, let's say, impacting, or how serious problem it is. So we know that in India there is regional disparity. It is not talking specifically about India. Okay, so you can mention regional disparity around the world. ठीक है, तो रीजनल डिस्पैरिटी एंड डाइवर्सिटी, डाइवर्सिटी इज डिफरेंट, इट इज पॉजिटिव टर्म, रीजनल डिस्पैरिटी इज द नेगेटिव टर्म, बेसिकली इट इज टॉकिंग अबाउट द लेवल ऑफ ग्रोथ एंड डेवलपमेंट इन डिफरेंट रीजन्स, एंड द पॉजिटिव, और वी कैन से दैट द हायर लेवल एंड लेट्स से लोअर लेवल्स। तो ये रीजनल डिस्पैरिटी होती है इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ एंड डेवलपमेंट में। एंड डाइवर्सिटी कैन बी ऑफ डिफरेंट एस्पेक्ट, डाइवर्सिटी ऑफ कल्चर, डाइवर्सिटी ऑफ एथनिसिटी, रिलीजियस, कल्चर, लैंग्वेजेस, तो ये सारा चीज आपको बताना है डिफरेंसेस में। एंड हाउ सीरियस प्रॉब्लम इज इन इंडिया, यस यू मेंशन सेंट्रल ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स, नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स, दे आर इकोनॉमिकली लेस डेवलप एज कंपेयर टू, वी कैन से दैट, वेस्टर्न एंड सदर्न स्टेट्स ऑफ इंडिया। मेंशन सम डेटा इन सपोर्ट ऑफ दैट। So most of the students prepare this as a part of human and economic geography, and you can see that less focus is given specifically for physical geography part, except we can say geophysical phenomena they have asked cloud burst। ऐसा कोई स्पेसिफिक क्वेश्चन उन्होंने पूछा नहीं है। सी सरफेस टेम्परेचर एंड फॉर्मेशन ऑफ ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन्स, इट इज कंटेम्प्रेरी फेनोमेनॉन, ठीक है, तो वो भी आप लिख सकते हैं। तो स्टैटिक पार्ट से फिजिकल ज्योग्राफी जैसे क्लाइमेटोलॉजी, जोमोर्फोलॉजी, ओशनोग्राफी, तो वहां से क्वेश्चन नहीं आया है। So that is good thing, and most of the students might have, let's say, attempted the paper. I wish that let's say geography will help you to score more marks in GS1 paper. Okay, fine, we will have the detailed discussion of geography section in the coming week. Fine, thank you.
Hello dear friends, today we are going to have a look at the mains paper for GS1. If we look at the paper as a whole, out of 250 marks, if we look at the division of the different sections, that is history and culture, issues related to society and geography, what we find that more or less as compared to previous few years, UPSC has maintained the same balance as far as the distribution of marks is concerned. So there are in total 20 questions, 10 questions of 10 marks each, and 10 questions of 150 marks each. Now, there are 6 questions from history and culture section, 8 questions from Indian society section, and 6 questions from geography section. As far as I am concerned, as a faculty of history and Indian society, I will be talking about my areas. So, if we look at the history and culture section, more or less, as has been in the past few years, UPSC has maintained the same weightage of marks, that is 75. 6 questions have been asked, no question asked from post-independent phase. 3 questions have been asked from history and culture section. Again, the areas are ancient India and early medieval India. So, one question is from Vedic age, where it is asking that you have to underline the changes in the field of society and economy from the Vedic to the later Vedic period. So you must know the elements of continuity and change when it comes to social and economic dynamics of Vedic and later Vedic period. It's a simple question, not much taxing. If students have gone through their NCRTs of history and culture properly, I don't think there is any reason that they should have any difficulty in attempting any question properly as far as history and culture section is concerned. Next question, 2 questions are from Pallavas and Chola period. The question related to Pallavas is, the second question, estimate the contribution of Pallavas of Kanchi for the development of art and literature of South India, and again 10 marks. So it is surprising that question from Pallavas and their successor and the contribution in the area of art and culture has been asked in the one and the same year. So art and culture or history, and, if you look at art and culture or heritage and culture, in total, 35 marks questions, 3 questions have been asked related to Vedic age, Pallavas, and Cholas. So nothing surprising over here in terms of quality of questions, in terms of what you can say, the content of answer expected from you. The only thing which is expected is that you should have studied these topics properly and you are in a position to articulate as per the demand of the questions. The third question related to history and culture section is the 11th question in this question paper, which is saying that though the great Cholas are no more yet, their name is still remembered with great pride because of their highest achievements in the domain of art and architecture. So, architecture means the different style of temple architecture. You have to focus on that, and you have to make a comment on this, right? When it comes to modern India, only one question has been asked, and that is question number 3. And if you look at this question, it is related to Quit India movement, and it is asking you about what was before, what events led to Quit India movement, and what events led to what we say the what led to, or what was its impact. So you should know the background. The background is very simple. There was August Safar, then there came individual satyagrah, then came Scripps mission in the backdrop of increasing pressure on Britain of its allies related to seeking India's support for the ongoing Second World War. Right? If we look at world history, 2 questions have been asked from world history section. One is related to World War One, where it is talking about how it was about balance of power, and then another question is about industrial revolution in England and how it led to simultaneous deindustrialization of India. So this question is also very simple. Both these questions are simple. So history and culture section, in my view, is not difficult at all. The questions are simple. They can be answered easily, provided a student has studied or done his homework very well. NCRTs are studied properly, and if you have attended any mentorship program from any institute, if that has been taken care of, that will be fine. As far as we are concerned, as Lukmaan IS Academy, we have covered all these areas in our lectures or different courses in a very elaborate manner. So we are very proud of that. Now, when we take a look at the Indian society or social issues section, maximum number of questions have been asked from this section. And this is again not surprising. UPSC has got this tendency to ask or has increased the weightage of this section over the years, last few years. So there have been questions from the pet areas like urbanization and migration, women empowerment, then institution of marriage, intercaste, interreligious marriages, then private-public partnership as far as socio-economic development is concerned, that model. Then regionalism, there they have asked a question around regional disparity and how it is different from diversity. Then there is a question about equality and social justice and how it is to be related with affirmative action for the underprivileged. Globalization, again, a question has been asked, and how the migration due to globalization happening is impacting people at the personal and familial levels. And then correlation between diversity and marginality, such questions. So some questions are really tricky or demanding more taxing, demanding more effort, where you are having not one question but 2 sections part of the question, and you are compelled to think and then write. For example, if I look at one of the questions, which is the, for example, 20th question. So it is asking you, critically analyze the proposition that there is a high correlation between India's cultural diversities and socioeconomic marginalities. So this question is not as easy, neither it sounds easy. It means a student should be well read. He or she should have done the homework properly. He should understand what are different kind of cultural diversities existing in India, and is there any relation between socio-economic marginalities, different sections, which especially marginalized sections, and their cultures, how they are different from the cultures of not of the mainstream people. So that is to be understood. Marginalized sections means deprived sections like scheduled tribes or scheduled castes, or what you can say, other groups which are not what you can say even today part of the mainstream, because they are living in distant areas like deep pockets of Himalayas or deserts. Such things are there. So you have to critically analyze, means you have to uh, deeply understand what is the correlation. If there is a correlation, you have to explain it with the help of suitable examples and facts. Similarly, question number 19 is also a thought-provoking question. Even though we have covered this theme in our Lukmaan IAS lectures and test series, globalization has increased urban migration by skilled, young, unmarried women from various classes. So it is talking about migration, globalization, and various sections of the society. How has this trend impacted upon their personal freedom and relationship with family? So, what is the impact of migration towards urban areas in the backdrop of globalization of skilled people, young or youth, and even unmarried women? How it affects their personal freedom and relationship with family? So, here you can talk about some latest developments which were there in the news, as well as your personal experiences and whatever you have studied from the textbooks. All that mix of your experience can be used to write a good answer. So, in the end, I would like to say that overall, the trend shows that the UPSC has maintained more or less the same pattern as it was in last 2 3 years, uh, and the level of difficulties of questions is almost the same. As far as history and culture section is concerned, there is no element of surprise. Even there is no element of surprise in the society section. The only thing is some questions appears to be twisted. If a student has not done his or her homework properly, he might face some difficulty in writing a answer with great depth.